no life has its ups and downs. Turn your pretty face to an ugly frown. Seems that when I fix one thing.
Hello, welcome back to The Awakening. I'm your host, Angela Brown. Today's topic for discussion is crime is real, it's wrong. Also, my guest today, I have two beautiful ladies sitting across from me. I have the director, who's Arlene Joel, in the yellow jacket, and Lizette Porter, who is the crisis intervention in the black jacket. It's easier to do this than to, try to get together like that. So tell me a little bit about yourself. You're a beautiful lady. That shows. But what do you do? What's in your heart?
Well, in my heart is really to serve people.
Okay.
And that's really why I started CAFE. It was really to work with children.
I like the name CAFE. It's cute. It's very cute.
Yeah. And actually CAFE means Community Advocates for Family and Youth. Mm-hmm. And it started just trying to work with children who are victims of crime or witnesses to crime, helping them become comfortable when they have to provide testimony.
That could be very scary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, it is very scary.
And how long have you done this?
Since 2003.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it was 2004 when they changed the law to say that even if you're a child, you have to be able to face your accuser.
Really? I didn't even know this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
2004.
Because prior to that, social workers, police officers, when they interviewed children, they could actually speak on their behalf in courtrooms.
Okay, okay. And how did you get into this, Lizette?
Well, I decided at one point I wanted to give my time to the community, and Arlene had an opportunity for me to come in that it met my interest, and I wanted to become involved in an organization that just does wonderful things for the community.
How long have you both been doing this? 5 years each?
Well, I think Arlene's been doing it for 7 years as the executive director of CAFE. I've actually only been working with her for about 2, I believe.
2 years.
2 years? You seem to have a good rapport together.
Yes, well, we knew each other beforehand.
Okay, but it doesn't interfere as being friends before to be working together and doing this kind of work?
Not at all, not at all.
Not at all, not at all. I think when people come to work at the program, they have a heart to serve. And, they want to help people. And so I think that's what really makes people blend together in our program.
But don't you think everybody today has been hurt by something due to someone?
Yes.
There is. The ones who haven't are very lucky.
That's true.
Very, very lucky.
That is true.
So tell me the first thing you do. When you hear of a crime being committed, you try to contact the people who are involved, or what do you do?
Well, what we do is we have a good relationship with the Prince George's Police Department, the state's attorney, and as well as community organizations. And so they'll refer clients to us. Our first contact with them is actually via mail, making sure that people understand what their rights are and that we're here. We follow up that with a phone call in an attempt to schedule what we call as intake. But it's really just to sit down with that person to kind of understand what their needs are. And then from there, we try to develop a victim services plan, so to speak.
Okay.
Don't worry about the whole big picture. Let's just see where you are right now and what you need.
Now, do you talk to someone who's just maybe committed a murder and they're going to be going to their hearing and getting an attorney? Just who do you start with? People who've been hurt?
Yes,
or people who have taken and hurt someone?
No, we only deal with victims of crime.
Victims of crime.
Yes.
That's good. Now I understand what you're doing. Okay. So then they contact you to get information on how they can get their needs taken care of.
Correct. Right.
Okay. And you do the crisis intervention.
Yes. What I do is, for instance, if someone calls up, we try to figure out exactly what they need, and I'll refer them to an advocate. I'll find out, if you're ready to have an advocate help you, I'll find out what the crime was, where they need to go, and then I'll refer them on to an advocate. And I also let them know I'm the person that may talk to you in the beginning, but you will have someone who's dedicated to helping you from beginning to end with your problem.
So if someone, say, is beaten up at the mall, or maybe they're just walking down the street and they get hit, and how do you let them know where you are? Well, this show's going to give you a lot of publicity today.
Right.
So they'll contact you.
Yes.
Which one of you? It doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Okay, you both.
They can just call the number, and a lot of times, Lizette's that first voice that they hear. And so whatever stage they're at, we're able to just, through a couple of questions, just through conversation, we were even talking about, your tone and your level of voice enables you to make that connection and that rapport with people. And that's really what we go after, trying to make that connection so that people feel comfortable with us and they begin to understand what all is going to happen. Because when people call 911, they have no idea that that's going to be a long journey.
Because sometimes they get lost in the system, too.
Yes.
That's very easily done. A couple of years ago, it was a January cold night, and I just finished a class with domestic violence out of my home, which was, everyone said it's done, but I still do it. And when I came back home, I went out to get some food and came home, opened my door, put in my purse and my things, my car keys away. I was jumped from behind in my own driveway and dragged down on my hands and knees down the driveway by two men, but I couldn't tell you what their color was because it was January night and it was cold. So I didn't have anybody to call. I called the police, of course, and they came with an ambulance to look at my leg and all. But I wished I would have known of you guys because it was frightening to come back out in the driveway.
Right. And see, and that's such a good example because in that scenario, you could call us, the police could call us, where we could reach out to you to say, okay, where are you going to be tonight for, where you can feel safe? Are you going to need to change your locks? If you don't know that person, it's important to get involved in therapy to help you kind of get back to feeling safe again.
Right. But they didn't. They didn't. The ambulance came and the girl said, "Can you bend your knee?" And I said, "Yeah." And of course, my friend Diane Palang, and she was there. And the police came and took a statement, and they never bothered. I guess it was 3 months later they called. They said, "Have you found out who hurt you?" And I said, "How can I do that? I don't know. It was a dark night, and they were dressed all in dark clothes. I don't know who hurt me." And so I never heard nothing back. So.
Well, that's part of our role is if you don't feel, if you need someone who can liaison with the police, our advocates can do that because they've developed relationships, particularly since they specialize, they develop relationships with the police, and then they sometimes not have an easier time of it, but sometimes are able to get in contact to find out some information you may be looking for
that the
just
police haven't, they just won't give it out.
Haven't been forthcoming with you. And all credit due to the police, they are very, very busy with a number of things, but it's just sometimes easier for our advocates to go through 10 cases with them at one time.
How can more participants help you with CAFE? How can they help you? What do you still need?
Well, we're heavily supported by volunteers, and so we're always eager to get citizens involved in volunteering in a number of ways. Not only victim advocacy, but a nonprofit is just like any other business. We need everyone doing everything.
You have a 501c3 as well?
We are 501c3. Yes, we are. And the other thing too is we spend a lot of time going out in the community, educating people about not only defining crimes for them, but letting them know where to go for services. And so another way people can get involved is, inviting us to their HOA meetings and their, coffee clutches, so that we can talk to them about just the next steps. No one likes to, think that they'll ever become a victim, but like you said, we all know someone.
It's just around the corner. There's been somebody that's been hurt before. Do you get phone calls as your job to work with the commission? I'm not the commissioner. You do. Forget what you're doing. Well, your crisis. Do you talk to them over the telephone if they're really nervous and scared?
Actually, yes, I do. We have a number of times when clients call. They are. You've been traumatized and victimized by a crime. Yes, they call up. First, they want to make sure who we are because they, we send them out information. A lot of times I'll get, well, who are you and what are you doing? Because they're, they're nervous about it.
Are.
I express to everyone that calls that everything that we do, talk about, and say is confidential.
Good.
There's nothing that will ever go outside of, it's particularly about your case to anyone else that's outside of CAFE who does need to know. But we try to make sure that everyone understands that, and we communicate to them exactly what their rights are as far as being victimized.
Do you have any young girls who've been raped contact you?
We do have an advocate. I usually try not to delve too deeply into the crimes that have happened to people, but I'll find out the preliminaries of it and direct them to an advocate who deals with that. And we do have young ladies who deal with who've been assaulted. We have, I mean, any crime that's been committed in the county, we are going to try to reach out to a victim.
So you're like an assembly line going down. You have a person to help with each thing, so you don't have to sit on the phone and take maybe 15 phone calls. Somebody's been hit by a car, somebody got hit in the face, a girl's been molested, a child's been raped or something. So you're all set up. That's good.
Yeah, we try to, for each group to have a specialty, because we do handle anything from child abuse all the way to robbery. And so it's important when you get a person engaged to really know what services are available to that particular person for that particular crime. And so you're right. So
child abuse, I want to talk about that. When someone calls you and they say they've been abused, or a wife calls you and tells you the child's been abused by the father or something like that?
Well, usually what happens is all of our cases are usually under investigation already. And so usually
so they've been reported already.
Most of ours have already been reported. And so Department of Social Services, as well as the police, they're all involved. And so when they call us, they may be looking for counseling, you know, for themselves or their children. They may be looking to even to reestablish some boundaries in terms of the family dynamics. You know, when that happens, that really tears a family apart.
Yes.
And so we help with that as well.
So you're good. You act like you really like your job. Both
actually
of you
do.
like you enjoy your jobs. You're not
do,
getting rich, but you're saving lives.
Right, right.
That's what it's all about.
Definitely. You have to have a passion for doing this kind of work.
Yes, you have to have a heart to do it.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah, you really do. You really do. How many people do you think you've worked with through this connection?
Oh my, it's hard to determine how many people I've worked with. I work every day. You get another phone call.
For 2 years, you said you've been with Kathy.
Yes, and I've actually done I actually started with Kathy as working as a victim's advocate, but at that time I couldn't do that type of work, finish that up. So I decided I just wanted to work on the other side with Kathy. To work on the administrative side and the crisis intervention side.
Does it ever get you very upset, Lizette?
No, not upset, and I hate to say that that I wouldn't get upset. You have to be able to serve someone else. You have to be able to understand that you can't fall apart and bring it, because you can't serve anyone if you're falling apart.
Right.
You have to be strong enough to deal with the situation and to know how you can best serve that person.
Right. And since you don't get all involved, you just pass them on the line. You can go to bed at night and sleep pretty good, can't you?
I try. I try.
Sometimes I need a value. But I have a big heart too, and I want to follow my kids when they're out of jail, because if they're old enough to have a job, I've already got work waiting for them, but they don't know that.
Right.
Oh,
So
wow.
I go to the people first and get the jobs lined up, but I make them go through the whole ordeal. To wear the shirt, the tie, the shoes, yes sir, no sir. And they just scared to death when they go in there, And one of my little boys is so precious. He's now been working for about 4 years. Started out like $3.50 an hour. He's a head cook now, making $17 an hour. But he still sends me the wrinkled up little dollar bill every once in a while. Here, Mom, you need a cup of coffee. I'm going to tell him coffee's more than $1 now. But being in the jail system is really, it was something I needed, because I needed to find out why people killed. Because killing Richard was being stabbed in the back. My kid had no chance. And I just wondered how people could be that heartless. But what I found out, it started in the home. The meanness and the drinking and the drugging in the home sets a lot of kids off.
And and that's true. I mean, I think
I'm so glad to hear you say that.
No, I think, even when you think about teens that commit crimes, and we have a teen advocate group, and when some of the teens that come in, they're kind of at-risk youth, and you really do find out that all of that kind of starts in what their norm is. So if your norm is always seeing violence in the home or always seeing conflict, then that's how you learn to deal with conflict and resolve problems, and that's all you know.
You just don't know what else to do. Yeah.
So,
because I mean, I have girls calling me up. I'm on the streets. I have nowhere to go, and my boyfriend just molested me or something. And so many of them in jail are with 2 children home already with mom who doesn't want them, and then there's another one in her belly in the jail. And these kids go, I grew up in domestic violence myself. My family fought and they drank.